Let me begin with a question. How does a nation once looted for centuries become a country the world now lines up to trade with? How does a land that supplied wealth to empires now attract wealth from those very same powers? Stay with me because this is not just India's story. This is the story of how global power itself is shifting. Let's rewind history. There was a time when India was not negotiating trade deals. It was the trade deal. Under British rule, India was transformed into an economic engine for empire. Raw materials flowed out: cotton, spices, minerals, indigo. Finished goods flowed in, manufactured in British factories using Indian resources. The result: Britain industrialized, India deindustrialized. Textiles industries in Bengal collapsed, local industries weakened, famines struck, wealth drained. But here is a question for you. Was India only exporting goods? No, it was exporting people. After slavery was abolished across Western empires, plantations across the Caribbean, Africa, and Southeast Asia needed labor. The British turned to colonized India. Millions of Indians were transported as indentured laborers to Guyana and Trinidad in South America, Mauritius and East Africa, Malaysia and Burma in Southeast Asia, Fiji and beyond. They built railways, harvested sugar, tapped rubber, and built economies that were not their own. India became the labor reservoir of empire, cheap, replaceable, controlled. So let me ask you, did anyone then imagine that one day nations would compete to attract Indian talent? Probably not. Yet that is exactly what is happening today. For nearly 2 centuries, India was a land that gave resources, labor, wealth, and received little in return. Colonized, exploited, left poor at independence in 1947. Yet today, the same India stands at the center of global trade diplomacy. From Washington to Brussels, from Athens to Abu Dhabi, from Africa to Australia, leaders are lining up, not with threats, but with trade proposals. So what changed? What magical wand does India hold today that makes the world seek its friendship? Even as it faces security threats from China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and tariff pressure from the United States. This is not a sudden rise. This is the result of 75 years of silent construction. And the story begins in the shadows of empire. When the British left India, they left behind a broken industrial base, mass poverty, low literacy, minimal infrastructure. India was expected to remain dependent, a supplier of raw materials and cheap labor. But India chose a different path. Instead of aligning fully with any power bloc during the Cold War, India adopted strategic autonomy, a principle that still guides its diplomacy today. It built public sector industries, scientific institutions like Indian Institute of Technology, Indian Space Research Organization, Defense Research and Development Organization, agricultural self-sufficiency, that is Green Revolution, a democratic political system. The growth was slow, messy, sometimes chaotic. But beneath that chaos, something powerful was forming: human capital. Millions of engineers, doctors, entrepreneurs, technologists. By the 1990s, India made its biggest shift: economic liberalization. That decision changed everything. When did India truly begin to rise economically? The answer is clear: 1991. India faced a severe economic crisis. Foreign reserves were nearly exhausted. The country stood on the edge of default. And then came a policy shift. Under Prime Minister Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, India launched economic liberalization. Markets opened, foreign investment allowed, private enterprise encouraged, trade barriers reduced. This was India's Deng Xiaoping movement. Just as Deng transformed China in the late 1970s, Dr. Manmohan Singh's reforms transformed India in the 1990s from a closed economy to a global integrated one. But here is the interesting part. India did not abandon democracy to grow. It grew within democracy, messy, noisy, competitive democracy, and that made its rise different. While many Western economies financialized building wealth through markets and debt, India quietly built real economic strength. India did not abandon manufacturing for finance alone. It built pharma manufacturing, global vaccine and generic drug hub, IT services, global back office and software powerhouse, automotive and electronics production, space and digital technology. India became both a manufacturing hub and an innovation hub. India's biggest hidden weapon isn't military, it is digital infrastructure, Aadhaar, biometric ID, unified payment interface, real-time payments, digital banking inclusion, government digital services. Today, India has one of the most advanced public digital systems in the world. Why do nations today negotiate visa quotas, student exchanges, and talent mobility with India? Because India's workforce itself has become a strategic asset. Indian professionals lead in Silicon Valley tech firms, global finance, medicine and research, engineering and innovation. Indian students fill universities in US, UK, Canada, Europe, Australia, Japan. Indian workers power constructions and services across the Middle East. So what changed? Education, skills, demographics. India now has one of the youngest populations in the world, a growing middle class, a massive talent pool. This workforce is no longer just a domestic advantage, it's a part of trade negotiations. Countries don't just want Indian goods, they want Indian talent. What gives a nation leverage in trade? Three things: market size, production capacity, strategic relevance. India now has all the three. This makes India both a factory for the world and a market for the world. Infrastructure push. In the last 15 years, highways, ports, airports, railways, industrial corridors, renewable energy, massive infrastructure building has connected India internally, enabling trade externally. India's influence is not just economic, it's cultural. Yoga, cinema, cuisine, festivals, spiritual traditions, digital entertainment. This orange economy, that is culture plus creativity, has expanded India's global reach. Indian diaspora across US, UK, Canada, Middle East, Africa and Southeast Asia acts as an economic bridge. India's soft power builds trust where geopolitical power alone cannot. The global economy is changing. For decades, the system was simple. America led finance, Europe led regulations, China led manufacturing, but now trade wars, tariffs, sanctions, supply chain disruptions. Nations want alternatives. So where do they turn? India. Why? Because India offers a massive consumer market, democratic governance, manufacturing potential, strategic neutrality. India can trade with US and Russia, with Iran and Israel, with Europe and Middle East. Few nations can maintain this balance. Let's ask, why is Europe pushing for trade deals with India now? Because Europe needs growth markets. Germany seeks manufacturing partnerships. France seeks defense and technology collaborations. Greece and Mediterranean nations seek port and logistic investments. The EU negotiates free trade agreements. Europe sees India not as a market, but as a strategic partner in a world less dependent on China. In the Middle East, India is a major energy buyer. a technology partner, a strategic investor. India UAE and India Saudi partnerships are deepening. Trade corridors and infrastructure projects expand. In Africa, many nations see India differently from former colonial powers. African nations increasingly prefer India because no colonial baggage like Europe, no debt trap fears like China, focus on capacity building, pharma, tech, education. India offers partnership rather than control. Global South alignment, BRICS expansion, South-South cooperation, local currency trade. India positions itself as a voice of developing nations. India offers pharma and healthcare support, technology transfer, education partnerships, capacity building, not dominance, partnership. That distinction matters. US-India trade tensions and the Trump factor. US-India relations have seen turbulence at various points, tariff threats, pressure on Russian oil purchases, warnings to BRIC countries, attempts to isolate trade partners. Even allies like Mexico faced pressure to align tariffs affecting India. Yet something changed. Despite threats, Washington returned to trade agreement. Why? Number 1. Supply chain reality. US companies need Indian manufacturing, tech talent, market access. Decoupling completely is impossible. Number 2. China factor. To counter China, US needs India strategically and economically. Number 3. India's strategic autonomy. India buys Russian oil, trade with US, engages Middle East, works with Europe. No single power can isolate India. Number 4. Market power. A nation of 1.4 billion people with rising consumption cannot be ignored. Trade deals follow markets. India increasingly promotes bilateral trade in local currencies, energy purchases outside dollar, alternative payment systems, not to destroy the dollar, but to reduce dependency. Many nations now seek a similar flexibility. This gives India leverage. The real magical wand India holds is not one thing. It is a combination built over decades. Massive consumer market, young skilled population, manufacturing plus services capability, digital infrastructure leadership, strategic neutrality, cultural soft power, global south trust, ability to trade with all sides. India can talk to Washington, Moscow, Tehran, Riyadh, Brussels, Tokyo, African capitals. Few nations today can do this simultaneously. This is the wand. History has a sense of irony. The nation once colonized for its wealth now attracts global capital. The nation once divided and impoverished now hosts the world's fastest growing major economy. The nation once expected to follow now helps shape global trade routes. As trade wars, tariffs, and geopolitical tensions reshape the world, one reality becomes clear. India is no longer a peripheral player in the global order. It is becoming one of its central pillars. The question is not whether the world wants India. The real question is, can the world afford to ignore India anymore?